Hi everyone, welcome to Competitive Pharmacy. Today we are going to discuss the 10 MCQ of amphometric titration from the subject pharmaceutical analysis. First question, amphometric, amphometric titration is otherwise known as A. Polarographic titration, B. Potentiometric titration, C. Complexometric titration, D. Conductometric titration. Correct answer is polarographic titration. Option A is the correct answer. Polarographic titration. More precisely, we can say it as amphometric titration, but at the vague picture, we can able to say it as a polarographic titration. Next question. Electroreducible substances can be determined by A. Colorimetry, B. Conductometry, C. Potentiometry, D. Amperometry. Electroreducible substances can be detected by amperometric titration. Option D is the right answer. For condition for performing amperometric titration is that either the titrate or titrant or both should be electroreducible. So electroreducible substances can be easily identified by the method of amperometry, and the potential applied should correspond to the limiting current. So we have to apply potential while performing amperometry. We have to supply potential to the system that which is corresponding to the limiting current. So that much amount of potential you have to apply while performing titration in amperometry. So suppose in amperometric titration, we are detecting electroreducible substances. Electroreducible substances. So the potential, you have to apply some potential so that galvanometer shows some uh, deflection if any electroreducible substance is present. If any electroreducible substance is present, then galvanometer will show a deflection. So deflection will only show by the galvanometer if you apply a potential that is correspond to the limiting current. So we have plot a graph between uh, e- electric volt versus titan. We will get a graph based on the potential. First, suppose this graph will be, first it will be like this. This is due to the current, due to what impurities. If any electroreducible impurities present in it, the current will be like this. This is known as limiting current. Sorry, residual current. This is known as residual current. And after that, electroreducible electroreducible species in the titrant will show a graph, and a limiting current will be there. After that, it will be a constant. That is the limiting current. After this titrant, all titrant are reacted fully, the current will be at stable condition. That is known as limiting current. So the applied potential should correspond to the limiting current. This is one of the condition for performing amperometric titration. Hope you clear this point. This is the limiting current. So the applied potential should be should be correspond to the limiting current. Next question. The indicator electrode used in amperometric titration. Option A, saturated calomel electrode. Option B, glass electrode. Option C, dropping mercury electrode. Option D, none of this. So the indicator electrode, we have amperometric titration. Two electrodes are there. because we have to apply potential in between these electrodes, and the electrode, and after if an electrode reducible substance is present, the galvanometer show a deflection. That is the principle. So we have an indicator electrode and a reference electrode in amperometric titration. Here the question is asking about which is an indicator electrode used in amperometric titration. So dropping mercury electrode is the indicator electrode, or rotating platinum electrode can be also used. For indicator electrode, dropping mercury electrode, or rotating platinum electrode. So what is saturated calomel electrode? Saturated calomel electrode is the reference electrode. So we have two electrode, indicator electrode and reference electrode, while performing amperometric titration. So indicator electrode used in amperometric titration is dropping mercury electrode or rotating platinum electrode, and reference electrode is saturated calomel electrode. Next question. Which of the following is not true regarding dropping mercury electrode? So we have seen what is this indicator electrode is dropping mercury electrode. So that dropping mercury electrode, which of the following is not true regarding that electrode? Option A, capillary diameter 20 to 50 micrometer. Droplet timing is 2 to 12 seconds. Potential range -4 to plus -0.42 plus 0.18 volt. Option D, all the above. Correct choice is this not true. Question is asking about the following which is not true regarding dropping mercury electrode. Correct answer is C. So potential. So this is true. Capillary diameter of a dropping mercury electrode is between 20 to 50 micrometer. This is very important. And droplet timing is 2 to 12 seconds. Then potential range is not 0.42 plus 0.18 volt. It is plus 0.42 minus 1.8 volt. Potential range plus 0.42 minus 1.8 volt. Next question. Rotating platinum electrode. We have seen indicator electrode as rotating platinum electrode and dropping mercury electrode. So here the question is asking rotating platinum electrode is preferred over DME, dropping mercury electrode. Why? Option A, simple to construct in electrode is simple to construct in case of rotating platinum electrode. Option B, diffusion current is 20 times larger than DME, which allows measuring small concentration of ions. Option C, steady diffusion state is achieved quickly. Option D, all the above. The correct answer is all the above. So rotating platinum electrode is preferred over dropping mercury electrode because of these following reasons. Next question. Kohl-Fischer titration is an example for. Kohl-Fischer titration is an example for. Option A, potentiometric titration. Option B, biampherometric titration. Option C, conductometric titration. Option D, nephelometry. Kohl-Fischer titration is an example for biampherometric titration. Next question. Dash current is proportional to the concentration of electroactive species in amperometric titration. Option A, residual current. Option B, migration current. Option C, diffusion current. Option D, none of the above. The current is proportional. The Kelvin, I have already told you that. See, we have indicator electrode, reference electrode. Sample is either electro-reducible sample or non-reducible solvent. Titrant is electro-reducible. So when a potential corresponding to limiting current is applied, the galvanometer show a deflection. Okay. when this current the current is proportional to the concentration of electroactive species in the amphometric titration. So that which current is proportional to the concentration of electroactive species is the diffusion current. Diffusion current is, I have already told you their graph first. Due to the impurities present in it, it will show a current that is known as residual current. Residual current, and after that, a current will be produced due to this electroactive species. Then, after all the electroactive species are converted to precipitate, there is no electroactive species in the system. Then the current will be in constant. That constant is known as limiting current. So this diffusion current is this. So this is proportional to the concentration of electroactive species in amphometric titration. So the diffusion current is proportional to the concentration of electroactive species in amphometric titration. Hope you clear this concept. Moving to the next question. Which of the following statement is or are considered true? Option A, in polarography, voltage is increased during titration, whereas in amperometry, voltage is kept constant. B, in polarographic titration, only electroreducible substances can be analyzed, while in amperometry, both electroreducible as well as non-electroreducible can be analyzed. Option C, amperometric titrations are more accurate and sensitive than polarographic titration. Option D, all the above. So the correct sentence is all the above. So let us explain each sentence. In polarography, voltage is increased during titration, whereas in amperometric, voltage is kept constant. We are keeping the voltage constant in case of amperometry, whereas in polarography, we are increasing the voltage. So next, in polarography titration, we are only electroreducible substances can be analyzed. While in amperometry, both electroreducible as well as non-electroreducible can be analyzed. In case, for example, by amperometry using Kohl-Fischer reagent, we can able to analyze non-electroreducible substances. Okay. Next, amperometric titrations are more accurate and sensitive than polarographic titration. Next question. So all these sentences are correct. Question number 9. The amperometric titration cannot be carried out at potential more negative than -2 volt. Why? Because hydrogen gas will be evolved. Option B, oxygen gas evolved during titration. Option C, pressure will be reduced. Option D, all the above. So amperometric titration cannot be carried out at potential more negative than -2 volt because of the evolution of hydrogen gas. Option A is the correct choice. Next question. In amperometric titration, following type of graph is obtained. The graph is the electrogram of, this is Olemov reagent or Olemov titrant. This is current. So this type of graph is obtained. So option A, this is an electroreducible sample. Option B, electroreducible titrant. Option C, electroreducible titrant and sample. Option D, none of above. Correct answer is option B, electroreducible titrant. Okay. So graph, this first constant is constant current than an increasing current. This is the electroreducible titrant. If the electroreducible titrant is present, then the graph will be like this. Okay. If it is an electroreducible sample, then a increase in graph. This will be the graph. If both electroreducible both titrant and sample both are electroreducible, then a V-shaped graph will be obtained. Hope you clear this topic. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe.